I've spent the last few years writing a book called Algorithms to Live By that explores the parallels between the set of problems that we all face every day and some of the canonical problems in computer science for insights that are applicable to human life. And one of the classic problems we face every day is that we have to decide between doing our favorite things and doing new things, whether it's where to go out to eat, what to listen to, and how to spend our time. Now, we understand intuitively that a life well lived is some combination of doing what we know and love and always being open to new things. And computer scientists have been trying to find exactly this balance for the last 60 years. They even have a name for it, the explore-exploit trade-off. How much time do you spend gathering new information, and when do you use the information that you've got? So one of the classic contexts that this comes up is in ad optimization. So next to any keyword, there's this huge pool of ads. Some of them have a very good historical track record. Others are brand new and could be better, could be worse. So how much do you show when? So ideas honed in this version of the problem are coming now to really influence psychology and cognitive science and also medicine, where they're working their way into clinical trials. So what is the canonical computer science approach to the explore-exploit trade-off? It's called the multi-armed bandit problem. The idea is you walk into a casino full of slot machines. Some of them pay off better than others, but you don't know which are which until you start pulling some levers. So what do you do to walk away with the most money at the end? Well, to make this concrete, let's say there's just two machines. One has a 9-6 record, and the other has a 1-1 record. So quite simply, which gets your next coin and your next pull? Well, the simplest way of approaching this is to just calculate what's called the expected value. This one has a 60% track record, this one has a 50%, and so there's a sense in which you just go with the thing with a higher expected value. But on the other hand, there's a sense in which we just don't know enough about this other machine to write it off entirely. Now, for much of the 20th century, this was considered an unsolvable problem, but thanks to a series of breakthroughs, including notably by Richard Bellman and continuing on to the present, we've learned a lot about this problem. And perhaps the critical insight about the multi-armed bandit problem is that it all depends how long you plan to be in the casino. So at the beginning of your time, if you imagine the first night on a vacation, the first restaurant you go to is literally the best restaurant you've ever been to in Spain. By the 10th restaurant, you only have a 1 in 10 chance. And so our decision making should depend on how much time we feel we have. So when we hear motivational speeches like from Robin Williams, "Seize the day, boys, make your lives extraordinary," we should cry foul because he's really giving us two incompatible pieces of advice. If we want to seize the day, we should pull the handle with the higher expected value. If we want to make our lives extraordinary, then it's worth at least spending a few more coins on this machine that we don't know about because it could be incredible. So ideas that are honed from the computer science of the multi-armed bandit problem are influencing psychology. So to represent the early years, this is an infant plugging a power cord into its face. We have this intuition that infants are random, they have a low attention span, they're pretty much helpless and try to eat everything. Well, psychologists, including UC Berkeley's Alison Gopnik, are appealing to the explore-exploit trade-off to argue that, no, this is in fact optimal behavior. If it's your first several minutes in the casino, you should run around pulling levers at random. You should basically put every object in your mouth at least once, because it could be delicious and you have 80 years to enjoy it. At the other extreme, we have people in their later years, and we think of them as stereotypically set in their ways, very habitual, resistant to new ideas. There's evidence that they have a smaller social circle, and we think, oh, maybe they're lonely or something. In fact, no. Arguments from including Laura Carstensen at Stanford, again, sort of appealing to this explore-exploit mechanism, say that, in fact, our later years should, in fact, be the exploit years where we focus most of our attention on the things that really matter and are happier for it. Now, the algorithms that get computer scientists excited are ones that have this property that's known as minimal regret. And specifically, they have what's called logarithmic regret. And there's bad news and good news. The bad news is that even if you follow an optimal strategy, you will continue making mistakes for the rest of your life. The good news is that the rate at which you make those mistakes will go down forever as you gain more experience. So that's something we can all feel good about. And as for the FDA, some of these minimal regret algorithms are just now coming to inform and cause a rethinking of the way they approach clinical studies and clinical trials. And so thinking computationally about the problems that we face in everyday life has payoffs at a number of scales. It gives us an ability to make better decisions about where to go out to eat. It gives us insight into the arc of a human life, and it gives us some concrete guidance when it matters the most. Thanks.